Part 103. The vicious female supporting character's character collapsed after her voice was eavesdropped. Author, R.O. Wich Jong Word. Chapter 1021. Chapter 1021. Why did this guy suddenly become so coquettish? Lu Jing was stunned after hearing Sun Ying'er's words. His face now is full of disbelief. Sun Ying'er couldn't help but frowned when she saw him like this. What's wrong with you? What are you looking like? What's wrong with you? I thought you hated me. You didn't want me to be around you at all. Being around you would annoy you. Lu Jing wanted to say something, but he didn't know what to say. In short. However, Sun Ying'er frowned when she saw him like this, and then she had a bad idea. Don't you think that I let you follow me just because I want to torture you? Lu Jing. Then Lu Jing quickly giggled a few times. Hey, and Sun, how could you say that? How could I have such thoughts? After all, I have been with Aunt Sun for so long, how could I not know about Aunt Sun? You are kind-hearted and truly the best woman in the world. Lu Jing, you always retreat involuntarily when you feel guilty, Sun Ying'er said coldly. Lu Jing immediately stood still. Haha, I really don't know what's going on in your head. I'm torturing you. Why am I torturing you? If I'm really torturing you, then how can I help you deal with things? Do you really think am I a very idle person? Lu Jing did think so, but he understood it through contact with Sun Ying'er and the others. And both Sun Ying'er and Sun Nian are very capable, so they won't torture themselves, but they still feel a little guilty for the thoughts they once had. But a guilty conscience is a guilty conscience, but you can't say it out. I didn't, I really didn't, and Sun, you can't talk nonsense. Although I, Lu Jing, am not a smart person, I do have some integrity. Okay, how could I will do something like this? Sun Ying'er smiled when she looked at this nervous guy, and then said, think about it carefully. Although you call me aunt, I am not your real aunt. If Nian and I really have any thoughts about you, so why just torture you? Why not take advantage of this opportunity to gain access to your family's company? It's not your real aunt. Lu Jing spoke subconsciously after hearing this. Sun Ying'er sighed deeply. She can't help but sigh because of Lu Jing's brain. She had already seen that Lu Jing really regarded her and Sun Nian as real aunts. Any person with a slightly normal brain would not be like this. Hey, this Lu Jing is really innocent. Okay, I made a mistake. I'm your aunt. I'm your real aunt. That's your real aunt. Don't think too much about it. Lu Jing looked at the helpless woman in front of him. He found that he seemed to have entered a strange circle. Sun Ying'er is not her real aunt, so, the struggle these days seems to be meaningless. But at this time, another question appeared in Lu Jing's mind. So what is meaningful? When he thought of this, Lu Jing became nervous. Auntie. Hey, what's wrong with you? Why did you suddenly become so squirmy? Sun Ying'er said this because this guy really became squirmy. Auntie, there's nothing wrong with me, I just found you better. Sun Ying'er now really felt that she was in the wrong place, so she hurriedly walked outside. Of course Lu Jing followed obediently. End of this chapter. The vicious female supporting character's character collapsed after her voice was eavesdropped. Author, R.O. Wich Jong Word. Chapter 1022. Chapter 1022. It's disgusting no matter in that time and space. At the same time, Lan Min arrived at the door of the hospital. Looking at the hospital, Lan Min thought of the time when Sun Nian and Li Baikan fainted out of anger. I don't know why I suddenly thought about this. It seems that after that incident, Li Baikan's attitude towards himself began to change. You must know that once some ideas are generated, they cannot be stopped. Why after that incident, Li Baikan changed, Lu Jing also changed, everything seemed to have changed. At this moment, she suddenly felt something hit her leg. She looked down and unexpectedly saw a little boy. This boy, how does he feel like Li Baikan? No, this child seems to be the child of Li Baikan and Sunian. Although Lan Min has not been in contact with their children since they were born, she still knows what Li Baikan and Sunian's children look like through some means. Although this child is very young, you can still see the shadow of Li Baikan on the child's immature face. Even a possibility appeared in her mind. If they had chosen Li Baikan, what would their children be like? Do you know where my dad is? I can't find my dad, Mo Bao said in a sweet voice. These words brought Lan Min back to his senses. That's right, kid. This child seems to be called Mo Bao. At such a young age, he should not be able to lie to others. You can definitely know something through this child. After thinking about this, Lan Min squatted down and said, "My little friend, what's your name? Auntie knows your name so she can help you find your father." "My name is Mo Bao." Hearing this familiar name, the gentle smile on Lan Min's face widened. Oh, your name is Mo Bao. Auntie has heard of a Mo Bao, but I don't know if you are the Mo Bao that Aunt knows. Can you tell me your father's name and mother's name? Let me see if you are the Mo Bao I know." Of course Mo Bao came to Lan Min on purpose. Of course he came here not to see his father, but to find his own mother. But when I was passing by here, I saw Lan Min. From the expression on this woman's face, it can be inferred that this woman must not be holding anything good in her heart. Originally, Mo Bao thought of this parallel time and space. He was out of control at the moment. Nothing happened to his father and his parents were loving, so he didn't want to have much involvement with the woman Lan Min. But I just had a few words with this woman. He will understand. Even if it is not the last time and space. This guy is also disgusting. And from the hypocritical face of this woman, it can be seen that this guy is definitely not holding back anything good. He wanted to know what this woman wanted to do to his little child. Then Mo Bao said the names of his parents in a sweet voice. "Yeah, you are really the Mo Bao I know. Mo Bao, maybe you don't know me, but I am your aunt." Mo Bao took a few steps back, "But Mo Bao has never seen you." This made Lan Min's expression suddenly stiffen. She thought of Li Baikan's indifference, which successfully made her heart ache. "Auntie didn't lie to you, I am indeed your aunt, that's it. Your mother and I have a little conflict. Your mother I have a bad temper, so in order not to make your mother angry, I didn't appear in front of you, but Mo Bao, you have to know that I am really your aunt." End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The vicious female supporting character's character collapsed after her voice was eavesdropped. Author, R.O. Which John Word. Chapter 1023. Chapter 1023. Mo Bao is the weakness. Mo Bao was really speechless. This woman really broke his own bottom line. I didn't expect this woman to really say such a thing. In front of a child who is over 1 year old, he uses such a teasing tone to say something bad about the child's mother. Haha, but this also shows that this woman has a bad mind. You need to know how ordinary children can be as smart as him and how they can understand these things. So this move is not a smart move in nature. Mo Bao didn't say anything, he just looked at Lan Min quietly. There was doubt in his eyes. With such a gaze, Lan Zhen finally realized that he had done a very stupid thing. This child is just over 1 year old. Furthermore, Lan Min also felt that a woman like Sunian would not give birth to a smart child. So Lan Zhi felt that he had to think carefully about how to get useful information out of this child's mouth. "Woo, where is my dad? I want my dad. My dad ignores me when he sleeps and doesn't play with me. I want my dad to play with me." These words instantly attracted Lan Zhi's attention. Dad ignores me when I sleep and doesn't play with me. So what this means is that something really happened to Li Baikan. When he thought of this, Lan Min squatted down and was parallel to Mo Bao. "Mo Bao, Tell me, why doesn't daddy play with you when you sleep? Why doesn't daddy play with you? Dad just won't accompany me, you, no matter how much I call daddy, he won't accompany me. Why is this happening? Is it because dad doesn't like Mobile? You, he clearly said that the little boy he likes in this world is the child is Mobile. Why is he like this now? Is he lying to me? Are you sure your father can't stop shouting no matter how hard he shouts? Lanmin's voice became a little louder. And he also stretched out his hand to pull Mobile. Mobile was very painful when he was pulled by this woman. But Mobile endured it. Mobile knew very well what his mother was thinking about recently. How could his son not help his mother? It hurts, it hurts. How could Lanmin be worried about Mobileocean? So he quickly spoke again, please tell me clearly, your father won't listen no matter how you scream, no matter what method you use, it won't work. Tell your aunt properly, and you must know that this child cannot lie, and you must know that if the child lies, he will be eaten by the monster. When Mobile heard this, he raised his head and cried, I didn't lie, Dad just doesn't play with me, no matter what, I don't want the monster to be eaten. These words succeeded in making Lanmin's heart immediately become confused. Did something really happen to Lee Baiken? If Lee Baiken really comes out? If something happens, then what should you do? Are you really cooperating with Huo Linyuan to attack Lee Baiken and letting the Huo family really suppress the Lee family? Do you really want to do this? Lanmin was really confused. But at this moment, a figure suddenly jumped directly in front of her. Before Lanmin could react, he slapped her directly in the face. Lanmin's eyes regained clarity, and he immediately saw an angry Sunian. Sunian was really mad at this moment. Lanzhen, if something really happens to you, just come directly to me. What are you doing to the children? Sunian received the news from Josu that Mobile was here, so he hurried downstairs. I saw this scene without expecting it. You must know that Mobile is her weak point. End of this chapter. The vicious female supporting character's character collapsed after her voice was eavesdropped. Author, R.O. Wich Jong Word. Chapter 1024. Chapter 1024 Dealing with a person who has no right to life. Lanmin's brain is easy to use. Immediately fell to the ground. Sunian, why did you attack me? Why are you so cruel? What do you want to do? You have already taken Baiken away from me, and you have also provoked our relationship. What do you want to do? Lanmin said, holding his belly. Although Lanzhen really doesn't want to use the child in his belly as a bargaining chip. But she knew very well that if she didn't do this, Huo Linyuan would definitely feel that she was doing something wrong, so no matter what ideas she had to do this. Lanzhen, what do you mean by this? Lanmin held her stomach tightly, I know you don't want me to get close to Baiken, but you can't do this no matter what. The child in my belly is innocent. If anything happens to you, you just come for me, why are you coming for my child? Faced with Lanmin's behavior, Sunian's eyes became colder and colder. Even after Lanmin raised his head and saw Sunian's eyes, he was not calm. Such a look. What does Sunian want to do? Sunian, what do you mean? What do you want to do? I tell you, don't mess around. If you mess around, then I will be really rude to you, really rude to you. But Sunian walked into Lanzi step by step. Especially when Sunian opened his mouth, Lanmin finally understood what horror was. The reason why I say this is because Sunian said, Lan Yan, I don't know if you understand the law. You know that a baby has no right to life before it is born. You, what do you mean? I tell you, don't mess around. If you really mess around, the consequences will be. What can I do? I just deal with a person who has no right to life. What do you think I can do? Haha. After saying this, Sunian walked towards Lan Min step by step, and don't forget, how did you get out when I sent you in? You were able to get out, how could I not get out? These words at this moment really made Lan Min start to tremble. That kind of fear is a fear that cannot be described in words. Sunian, I didn't do anything. I really didn't do anything at this moment. Lan Min got up directly from the ground. What other plans did Lan Min have now? But Sunian didn't care about anything, and just grabbed her hair. What do you want to do? What bad thoughts do you have for my man? I can tolerate these, but my child is my entire bottom line. Now you step on it, it's reached my bottom line. Sunian really wanted to kill this guy at this moment. She can play with the orchid and treat her as a toy. But he couldn't bear the threat she brought to Mo Bao. Mo Bao was really moved and speechless when he saw his mother like this. No matter what time, space, or world it is, mother always loves herself the most. And Lan Min also really felt that Sunian really wanted to do something to him. In this situation, Lan Min was really panicked. Her brain was spinning rapidly, what to do, what to do. At this moment, Lin Na's voice sounded, Mrs. Li, don't be impulsive. Don't be impulsive. If you can't control your emotions, the consequences will be really disastrous. Ms. Lin, are you a mother? You know that for a mother, her children are the most important thing to her, and she can do anything for her children. End of this chapter. The vicious female supporting character's character collapsed after her voice was eavesdropped. Author, R.O. Wich Jong Word. Chapter 1025. Chapter 1025, Knowing that Sunian is serious. Even Lin Na couldn't control the fear in her heart when she saw Sunian like this. She knew that Sunian was serious. I'm really glad that I didn't really make any plans about Sunian's child. After all, looking at Sunian like this, if she makes a fuss about her children, then this Sunian can really do anything. Well, Lin Na felt that she was really not that crazy. Sunian's heart can really be said to be filled with rage. At this moment, Mo Bao walked up to his mother and tugged on his mother's clothes. Mom. After hearing Mo Bao's voice, Sunian lowered his head. Mo Bao. Mo Bao wanted to comfort his mother and tell her that he was fine. But when he saw his mother, he really didn't know what to say. Sunian, don't talk nonsense about me. I didn't do anything to your son, Lan Min couldn't help but argue. After Sunian heard this, his eyes fell on Lan Min again without hesitation. This success made Lan Min's heart suddenly tense. Lan Min, then tell me what you are doing with my son. What do you have to say to a child? Don't tell me. You and my son have something to talk about. If you can really say such things, then I'm going to apologize to you. I apologize for my behavior in looking down upon you. I didn't expect that your logic is the same as that of a 1-year-old child. I apologize for my previous ignorance. After all, this has caused you a lot of injustice. Lin Na looked at Sunian. She suddenly felt that Sunian had been restrained for a long time. After all, judging from Sunian's appearance, it was completely easy to deal with this Lan Ren. Lan Min still had some momentum, so he hid directly behind Lin Na. Lin Na really didn't expect this guy to be so worthless. Lan Min, I know you hate me to the core, but I still feel like I need to warn you, don't touch my son. If you touch my son even a hair, then I will definitely make you regret coming into this world. Sunian really didn't want to stay here anymore, so after saying this, he bent down and picked up Mo Bao on the ground and left in a hurry. Mo Bao really felt a little regretful, regretting why he came here on his own initiative and provoked Lan Min, making his mother so anxious. Mom, I was wrong. Sunian's heart broke when he heard this. Mom's baby, what are you talking about? What's wrong with you? You are the best behaved child in the world. What's wrong with you? It's all your mother's fault. I'm not by your side all the time. If I were by your side all the time, you wouldn't face this situation. When Sunian said this, tears came down. Sunian is really scared at this moment. Although now Sunian does not regard this world as the world of novels, but truly regards this world as the real world, and also wants to live a good life in this world. But I'm still a little scared. Afraid that there really is a so-called heroine halo. It's okay, don't be afraid, Mo Bao, don't be afraid, Mom is very powerful, she will definitely not let you be in any danger, she will definitely not let you be in any danger. These words are not only spoken to Mo Bao, but also to myself. No matter what the price, she will never let Mo Bao get hurt at all. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The vicious female supporting character's character collapsed after her voice was eavesdropped. Author, R.O. Which John Word. Chapter 1026. Chapter 1026 Lin Na's Changes. After Sunian left, Lin Na frowned and looked at Lan Min. Lan Min, I admit that we did try our best to deal with Sunian, but you can't really be so crazy and do something to the child, it's really inhumane at all. I really didn't. Lin Na, I don't care if you have it or not, but I think no matter what you do, you must have a conscience. If you don't have a conscience, then even if you win, God may not be able to stand it, and a thunder will strike directly from the sky. It's not certain that I'll kill you directly. Lin Na planned to leave after saying this. But before Lin Na took a few steps, she heard Lan Min say, something may really happen to Li Baikan this time, and his life may be really in danger. These words successfully made Lin Na stop in her tracks. She turned her head and looked at Lan Ji. Lan Min said what he had just asked Mo Bao. When Lin Na heard this, she sighed deeply in her heart. This tone is sighing for myself. She really didn't know what was wrong with her mind and why she was touched by Lan Min's words. It is said that children's words are unbridled. The more this is true, the more it reflects the true situation. Lin Na understands this truth, but, that Li Chenmo is the child of Li Baikan and Sunian. If their two children are so stupid, then it is a genetic mutation. If it were Lin Na from before, she might have said it. But now Lin Na has made a decision, so she said cooperatively, Lan Ji, I didn't expect you to see this. You really impressed me. I'm sorry, I really thought you. Lan Ji originally just because of Sunian's behavior just now, she was in a bad mood. In other words, Lan Min must find his place now. What do you mean, and what do you mean by what you just said? In your heart, am I really so shameless that I can do anything to a child? Lin Na, we have known each other for so long, you know who I am. Lin Na really wanted to laugh at this moment. It is because we have known each other for so long that I know who this Lan Ren is and what he can do. I'll let it go if you think so. Why do you still think so? Although I, Lan Min, am not a big shot, I can still understand this. If I can really do such disgusting things, then I am not a human being. The more Lan Min said this, the more excited he became. But Lan Min's excitement at the moment is a joke. What's the use of Lan Min being so excited now? If he is really capable, then why was he so timid when facing Sunian just now? She knew that Lan Min was doing this to regain face in front of her, but what was the use of regaining face in front of herself? She was not Sunian. This kind of behavior is just like taking off your pants and farting, and it is of no use at all. But Lin Na is the person who inspired and led the Lin family to surpass the Li family and the Huo family. How could she be an ordinary person? So after hearing this, she immediately said, I'm sorry, I'm really sorry for you, but the way Sunian looked just now was really, it's a bit too scary, I never thought that Sunian would be like that. These words made Lan Min feel a little bit frightened. He didn't dare to speak anymore. End of this chapter. The vicious female supporting character's character collapsed after her voice was eavesdropped. Author, R.O. Wich Jong Word. Chapter 1027. Chapter 1027. It would be great if you could look at me like this. Of course, Lee Baiken knew the news about such a big matter as soon as possible. But he was worried about the plan and did not dare to show up. Just waiting anxiously in the ward. Waiting for Sunian to come with the child. Although it was only half an hour at most, Lee Baiken really didn't know how to describe the anxiety he felt. Finally Sunian came. Sunian didn't know why, but when he saw Lee Baiken, his nose couldn't help but feel slightly sour. Sunian's behavior really made Lee Baiken heartbroken. What did he want to say? But I really don't know where to comfort myself. He could only walk to Sunian's side, and then hold Sunian in his arms. I'm sorry, I'm really sorry. Sunian couldn't help but said after hearing this, why did you say sorry to me? But it was okay that Sunian didn't speak. When she spoke, the sobs in her voice really made Lee Baiken feel heartbroken. It felt like his heart was about to break. I know what happened. What I should do as a husband is to appear in front of you as soon as possible, but I didn't appear. It was really my dereliction of duty. I'm sorry, I'm really sorry. I kept saying that no matter what happened, I will stand in front of you no matter what, but when it comes to the critical moment, I lose my temper like this. Although Sunian felt aggrieved, she still felt a little better when she heard this. Actually, it doesn't matter if we blame you. After all, our plan is here. If you really go out, then our plan may really fall short. The more Sunian behaves like this, the more Lee Baiken feels distressed. This little woman is really too sensible. Even though I feel so uncomfortable, I am still so rational. But my words don't count. Don't excuse me. It's my fault. I didn't do what I said. Honey, if you have any temper and feel uncomfortable, then vent it on me. Don't hold it in your body, otherwise it may really hurt you. Mo Bao next to him subconsciously breathed a sigh of relief when he saw his mother like this. At the same time, Mo Bao also successfully thought of his mother in his previous life. In Mo Bao's memory in his last life, his mother was always omnipotent, rushing to the front no matter what happened, and nothing could hold her back. But several sad scenes of his mother appeared in Mo Bao's mind. My mother did have a very difficult life in her last life. Very difficult. Now Mo Bao really feels that it is a good thing that this cheap dad is alive. For example, at this moment, Mo Bao could feel his mother's dependence on him. However, Sunian's mood improved, but she has not forgotten another thing. Immediately he struggled out of Lee Baiken's arms and looked at Mo Bao. Mo Bao, what did that ant say to you just now? Mo Bao deliberately made a serious tone and said what he had said to the Lanzi. Sunian originally thought that if Mo Bao really said something wrong, he would find a way to make up for it. After all, the plan had come to this point, and it would be a pity if it just aborted. But after listening to Mo Bao's words, it's almost like stars are popping out of my eyes. She really didn't expect her son Ma Bao to be so smart. At this moment, Lee Baiken's voice rang out, "Hey, it would be great if one day you could look at me like this." Sunian's face changed after hearing this, and he glared at this guy fiercely. End of this chapter. The vicious female supporting character's character collapsed after her voice was eavesdropped. Author, R.O. Wich Jong Word. Chapter 1028. Chapter 1028. What kind of tiger and wolf words is this? But our Mo Bao is really smart, and he deserves to be my son, Lee Baiken. Lee Baiken didn't even notice it, so he calmly picked up Mo Bao. Mo Bao snorted directly after hearing this. This dad is really disgusting. So shameless. Does his intelligence have anything to do with his father? It's obviously my mother. Now let's make our lies more real. After all, children can't lie. Sunian began to think about the next step. Lee Baikan stared at Bao with big eyes. Lee Baikan smiled, stretched out his finger and lightly slapped Bao on the nose. Why are you looking at me like this? You haven't seen Dad for a few days, you must know me. Humph! Bao snorted very proudly. The man just lifted Bao up and slapped Bao on his with his big hand. What do you mean? What are you moaning about? You really don't know me as your father, do you? Bao. This dad is really a bit too much. When this father gets old and the nurse asks himself whether he should remove the oxygen tube. Bao thought angrily in his heart. Small faces can really stink as much as they want. Lee Baikan felt that he had to take care of this brat. You must know that this brat was only 1 year old. If you are as bad as you are now, if you grow up, you will probably get even worse. Just when Lee Baikan wanted to stand alone, Sunian's voice rang out, Baikan, what are you doing? Lee Baikan, who was caught, smiled calmly, I didn't do anything, honey. What did you look at me with such eyes? Do you think I will do anything? After all, tiger poison cannot eat its seeds. The next moment, Bao burst into tears. This cry really made Lee Baikan a little embarrassed. Sunian was just joking, but he didn't expect Bao to have such a big reaction, so he couldn't help but laugh. After all, in Sunian's eyes, Lee Baikan cared about Bao very much. Wouldn't do anything to Bao. But she still had her hands on her hips with a serious look on her face. If I told you that it's none of my business if he cries, would you believe me? Do you think I would believe it? When Bao heard this, he couldn't help but feel secretly happy. He is the most important in my mother's heart. Sunian approached Lee Baikan and said, do you mean that Bao will cry inexplicably? When did Bao get into such a big problem, and you don't give me, a mother, a good explanation? This. But before Lee Baikan finished speaking, Sunian stood up on tiptoes and kissed the man gently on the cheek. Why don't I believe that in your eyes? I am so stupid that I think you are my father. Will it still hurt Bao? That's right, Sunian did it on purpose. When Sunian said this, he couldn't help but poke the man's chest with his hand. I didn't expect but forgot that the man's chest was very hard, which caused the woman's hand to be directly poked and hurt. Even though it hurt, I didn't forget to glare at this guy fiercely. Why are you so hard-bodied? But when Lee Baikan heard this, he felt aggrieved. What's wrong with you now? You dislike me for everything. And don't you usually like me to be tough? Sunian. What kind of tiger and wolf words is this? What do you mean? Shut up. Are you embarrassed to say this in front of the children? End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The vicious female supporting character's character collapsed after her voice was eavesdropped. Author, R.O. Which Jong Word. Chapter 1029. Chapter 1029. Lee Baikan, how old is he? How could he know this reason? But facing Sunian's words, Lee Baikan didn't take it seriously. How old is he? How can he understand this? Don't think too much. Bao hummed in his heart after hearing this. How could this guy do this? You must know that a few minutes ago, this guy praised his son as very smart, and he said this just now. Bao feels that if he doesn't do something, then he is not Bao. So Bao turned his head and looked at his father with doubtful eyes. Dad, Bao doesn't understand what you are saying. Facing Bao's question, Lee Baikan said calmly, Dad didn't say anything. Dad, that's what you said. Why didn't you tell me? Dad, what exactly did you mean? Please tell Bao. Okay, I don't understand. Lee Baiken. You are too young now, so you don't need to understand that much. Mo Bao felt aggrieved all of a sudden. This aggrieved look really caught Lee Baiken a little off guard. The reason why this is so is because Lee Baiken looked at the child in front of him. Although Mo Bao mostly followed him, when he pursed his lips, he still looked a bit like Sunian. This made Lee Baiken's heart soften immediately. Dad, why did you tell me all the questions I asked you before? Why don't you tell me now? Dad, don't you like Mo Bao? At this point, he looked directly at Sunian and said in an aggrieved voice said, Mom, Dad doesn't like me anymore, can I change to a dad who likes me? Lee Baiken. He finally discovered that this brat always seemed to talk about changing his father. Hey, what's wrong with this brat? Did he use this as a handle? Lee Chen Mo, Lee Baiken spanked the little guy on the butt. Mo Bao didn't like it the most when his father spanked him. After all, he had an adult soul in his body, so how could he endure such injustice? At the same time, I know that my father is afraid of changing his father. Humph, the more afraid you are, the more you will do something against him. That's right, it's the opposite. Mom, I don't want this father anymore, I don't want the father who spanks me, woo, this dad is so annoying. And Sunian also felt that she had to teach this man a lesson. If he didn't teach this guy a lesson, then the man would not keep his mouth shut in front of Mo Bao. What should I do if I mislead a child? So Sunian calmly sat next to him and said, this is a matter between you and your son. You two should discuss it slowly and tell us after you have discussed it. Mom, can I really change my father? Mo Bao said immediately. When Lee Baiken heard this, his face turned completely ugly. What did this brat mean? He immediately picked him up and said, what do you mean, brat? Ever since your boy was born, I have been responsible for everything, you still want to change your father, but I want to know what kind of father you can change to be better than me. Dad is bad, Dad. Mo Bao really wanted to roll his eyes. Are you really deceiving yourself as a child? Don't think that he doesn't know that the reason why his father is so attentive is because he doesn't want to rely too much on his mother. The old guy is full of tricks. Mo Bao snorted and looked to the side. He didn't believe that his father could really do anything to him. Sunian sat quietly next to him, watching the father and son playing around, and the uneasiness in his heart gradually disappeared. End of this chapter. The vicious female supporting character's character collapsed after her voice was eavesdropped. Author, R.O. Wich John Word. Chapter 1030. Chapter 1030 Lin Yuan, I. Sure enough, after Lan Min told Huo Lin Yuan the situation, Huo Lin Yuan felt that the opportunity had come. And begin a comprehensive deployment plan. Start using various means. However, at this time, Lan Min made demands to Huo Lin Yuan to deal with the small companies of Sunian and Sun Ying-er. After Lin Na learned the news, she curiously asked Lan Min, what do you mean? Are you not confident in your man? Don't believe that your man can defeat the Li family? Why, is there something inside this matter that I don't know about? We've known each other for so long, why didn't you tell me that your behavior was a bit too much? Lin Na just asked this question. The key is to ask in front of Huo Lin Yuan. So after Lin Na finished speaking, Huo Lin Yuan's expression suddenly changed. Lan Min didn't expect Lin Na to be like this, and his heart suddenly thumped. He quickly covered his stomach and said, Lin Na, what do you mean by this? Are you questioning my love for Lin Yuan? You know me. It's been so long, don't you know how much I love Lin Yuan? Why can you say such things, and what are your intentions? Facing Lan Min's anxious look, Lin Na just shrugged lightly, I don't have any intentions. I can have any so-called intentions. I just asked out of curiosity. You can't be so overbearing. I can't be curious. What else could Lin Na do this for? Of course it was to cause trouble. Anyway, now that you have made your choice, you have to do something. The key point is that doing things that can disgust others is really fun. Huo Linyuan, Miss Lin, are you trying to provoke us? Huo Linyuan said so bluntly, and it was more of a threat, but Lin Na shook her head. Huo Xiao, what you said, I have never questioned the relationship between you and Miss Lin, and I believe that there is no such thing in this world who can provoke, and I said this in front of you. If I really wanted to provoke, then I could just say it privately, why should I say it directly? After Lin Na finished speaking, Huo Linyuan looked directly at Lan Min. Lan Min subconsciously covered his stomach. I have no other ideas, I'm just a little dissatisfied. I saw them messing around in your company in Linyuan. Linyuan, that's your company. People outside, because of this matter, they are all talking about you. I am really not convinced, it is really too much for the two of them to treat you like this. Jian'er, I'm really touched that you can consider me so much. Huo Linyuan sighed deeply and walked to Lan Min's side. Jian'er, don't worry, I will definitely not let you down. I will definitely take that company over. After hearing this, Lan Min subconsciously grabbed Huo Linyuan's clothes and said to Huo Linyuan, Linyuan, I can. Whatever you want to say, just say it. There's really no need to hesitate like this. If there's anything else you and I can't talk about before, just say it. After saying this, Huo Linyuan gently put his hand down on Lan Min's belly, and you are still pregnant with my child. If you have any request, I will definitely agree to it. Really? Huo Linyuan frowned when he heard this. What do you mean by saying this? What does it mean to be true? Is this thing still false? I have no sincerity towards you, so how can I still be in this world? Who are you sincere to? When Lan Min heard this, he really wanted to cry. End of this chapter.